Nu är det ett år sedan Ian Burchnall startade som tränare i Östersunds fotbollsklubb. 1 year, Ian. 1 year, it's a long time, but it's go fast.
Yeah, it's a long time, but yeah, I agree. It's gone really quick. So we looked at it. I think I was on LinkedIn or something like that, and then it popped up, and people say congrats on your work anniversary, and I was thinking, my God, has it been a year that I've been here? So I must have updated that I've been there, and then I saw 1 year. So it's gone really quick.
I remember that I met you in Denmark on the training camp down there. I was driving there, and I thought, I wonder who is this guy? And I think the people in Östersund also wonder who is this guy.
Yeah, I think everyone did. Yeah, everybody did. Yeah.
Yeah, but after a year, I think myself and the people here knows you, that you're an English guy, nice guy, polite.
I hope so.
And what's your opinion about yourself?
Yeah, hopefully those things. I think I'm try to work with honesty, integrity. Work to the best way that I can for the club, and work really hard at the job. And it's not always perfect for sure, and make mistakes, but try to be better every day, and I really enjoy what I do and enjoy to be here. So it's I think that's who I am, and I'm English. So you're right about that.
It wasn't so easy to take over after Graham Potter.
No.
Because I think the expectation was up here.
I think probably it was the hardest job in Sweden, without doubt, because of what had been achieved by Graham and what had been achieved not just by Graham but by Billy and Bjorn and everybody in the club, even the guys that are still here, of course, a lot of the players and staff that are still here. But in general, to follow Graham and the 7 years he had here it's not possible to do what he's done again. So then you can only try to rebuild, and it was a real rebuild job really, when you look at 4 or 5 staff gone, and then players of, for really a small club in the north of Sweden, to lose players of the quality of forwards, Saman, Ken, Brewer, Sotta. It's a real big, and then to follow Graham's a really, really big task, I think. But when I came here, I had a really good feel for the club and a really good feel for the people and the environment, and felt like, even though it was a really, really big job to do, that we had the tools to be able to try to keep some continuity.
And you still got that tools?
Yeah, I think so. I think we have good players. I think we have young players, and we've changed a lot of the playing staff over the past year. If you look at the last few games, probably from the Europa League campaign, which is the Arsenal games and stuff just over a year ago, the last few games, not many of those players played, when you consider Ali Keita, Hossam, Ronald, Tom also injured and out. So it's been a lot of new faces and new players, and I think in any club anywhere that takes some time to develop your way of playing and develop the things that you want to. And I think this season, I said, our top level can be really high at times, but it can be varied because of the where we're at with the team. But I think we have the tools and the resources to keep going and be successful.
Do you have a temper?
No, not really. I think everybody does when it's football and it's passion and it's emotion, and it can be like that. But I think also to scream and shout every game loses its impact a little bit. So I save it just for special moments.
I have seen these special moments once or twice, or 4 or 5 times.
Okay, that many. Okay, then it's more than I thought. But but it's a fine line between temper and passion, and I think everybody wants to win and everybody wants to do well, and then everybody knows that as well. I think the players feel it the same, and you feel like sometimes we can play a game and we're not good enough, and you feel the frustration of the supporters, and we have the same frustration as coaches and the same frustrations as players. So many of the same emotions go from pitch to stands and stands to pitch.
But after 1 year, if you see the results, you have really good results with the team.
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm not sure how many Allsvenskan games is. It must be around 30 now, which is a complete season really. So then I think over the full period, yeah, it's been some very strong results. I think but I still feel there's many games where we can be much better. But when you consider the overhaul of staff and players and everything put in, to still be able to maintain results in the Allsvenskan, okay, I say the last 3 or 4 league games we haven't been very satisfied with. We've really been threadbare with injuries and been a bit disappointed with that. But, you know, if you take the 30 games in Allsvenskan, 30, 31, something like that, that we've had, I think overall you can say results they haven't really dipped from the time when we had the seasons before. I think we're kind of on a level points per game and things like that. So we still want to be better in performances, and we still want to build back with some of the offensive and controlling tactics for the I know the team and the supporters are very proud of, but you know, a lot of that takes a little period to build back up. So, but yeah, overall I think results, we can say many of the results have been good, and some can be better.
The way Östersund ÖFK is playing, it's nearly the same as the former coach, but do you want to change it?
No, I don't want to change it. I want to play interesting, attacking football that we play different systems and try to be fluid and a bit different to everybody else. I think that it takes time to teach the players that, and you see evidence that we might do it for 20 minutes in a game, and then we lose it a little bit and their structure, and so we work really hard to keep that, and we don't want to make, you know, the club's identity is very clear, and the club's identity is that I think at home we make and complete a lot of passes, and we have a lot of possession, and we've scored, I think at home, I think it's like 16 or 17 consecutive Allsvenskan games now at home that we've scored in. So I think we've been offensive and tried to play attractive football at home. I feel certainly this season we've maybe struggled to transfer that into the away performances, and we want to be better and more offensive away from home and braver away from home. So there are elements that we want to be better at. But yeah, we try to keep the identity clear, yeah.
Now it's the summer window, and everyone is talking players who might leave, but we're also looking for some players.
Yeah, I think that's the nature of every window. I think this club is a club that has developed sold players, and if you're going to bring in younger players, develop them and progress them, you're likely to sell them at some point, and that's a clear strategy that we have. So there will be some that I'm sure attract a lot of interest, and probably we can lose to. We've already lost a couple with Tess and Ravel, and maybe we lose a couple more. But then we're going to have to put back in and you know, start the process again and try to. Now we've had a period to see what we might miss or what we need from the first part of the season. Hopefully we can add those elements into the second part.
The expectation from the fans is really high because we play in the Europa League once. But with this young team, you can't see that 6 months we're playing in the Europa League again, because you need more time, I think.
Yeah, everything takes time. I mean, football's not a game where you get that much time. That's the nature of the game. You know, next game we must win, and next game. And the club has always had a philosophy that we must put everything into winning the next game, and then we go from there. So now we have to put everything into beat IFK Gothenburg. That's our main focus for everything that we do, and then we go from there to Sirius and then Norrköping, and then if we do that and we get the process right, we should win games, and that should eventually take us where we want to be. But we understand that, you know, I think any team. I spoke to actually some of the guys in my former club, Sarpsborg, who's a similar kind of club, restarted, if you like, in 2008, and is built up and finished in the top 3. Not last season before, got into the Europa League, was in the group stages with Malmo, and this year is maybe suffering a little hangover from the Europa League and losing some of the players and having to rebuild it. But it's important to trust the process. We have to have some patience. But I think it's really important that the supporters have those expectations and dream big, and you know, we have to then match that that's really important that we embrace that and we say, okay, that's where we want to be. Internally, we have to know the process and know where we're at with it and trust it, and sometimes be more patient than we want to be because we want it straight away. But I think it's really important that we always set high expectations for ourselves, because that's, you know, you have to try and reach there, because that's always going to be the aim. And then, you know, as long as everyone also has a common understanding of what it takes to build up and develop, then everybody's on the same page, and you get that good feeling then that you're doing the right things.
But we have the youngest squad in the league.
Yeah, we do. And I think that we should see that as a positive thing, really, because for a club like us to have such a young team, I find there's a lot of potential to develop it and grow it. It comes with some pitfalls, you know. I think when we played against Hammarby, we looked, and collectively the Hammarby team had like 3,000 top flight appearances, and ours collectively had around 500. And then during the game, you can see elements of that inexperience that creep out. But at the same time, these players are going to grow and develop and improve and then be real assets for this football club. And that should be the aim. But we're kind of at the start of that process now with it being so young. But they're enthusiastic, willing to learn. They put fantastic effort in. So I think we should see the positives of having such a young team, even though it comes with some downsides, of course.
But you need experience in the team now.
Yeah, we do, but experience is not necessarily age. Experience, you can have a 20-year-old with fantastic experience, you know. But it's, you know, we some of the more experienced players, I'd say, that have played a lot in the top flights, like McKeeby, Tom Pettersson, Ali Keita, have been injured for a period now, and you know that impacts a little bit, especially when they're all in the defensive line, and we've got new and young players playing together for the first time, and they're learning about themselves and the game whilst being in Allsvenskan at the, you know, in tough away games like Djurgården and Hammarby. So then it's going to be fantastic for those players in the future to have had that grounding and that experience and learn from those, even though it's tough learning at times. And then when those experienced players come back, they can add to it, and hopefully, you know, really we can be strong as a squad then.
We have had lots of injuries this spring, but why?
Yeah, that's a question that we're asking internally. I think that we're being quite critical on ourselves from where we've been first and foremost. We always look at ourselves first. Some of them is a little bit unfortunate, impact injuries during games, Keita, Tom, Sellers, yeah, but some of them we think, you know, of course, can be avoidable by looking back at what we've done. It can be difficult at times because we've had like a lot of players come in pre-season. Some are in the middle of their season. Some come in late. Some miss a pre-season. Then the whole group is a little bit. So we work quite hard to try and get everybody in the same place, and I think that's where we're at really. It's had to be quite individual. Some of the sessions to get all of the. You know, I think when you have a team that doesn't change much, if you look at in the league, let's say Häcken, for example, have not actually turned over many players really year to year. They kind of have a continuity of what they've been doing in the training process. And then we change 9-10 players in the January window and everyone's at a different stage. It does mean that the process, it really have to be on top of it. And I think that's probably been the biggest challenge for the first part of the season, is to get everybody in that kind of same place and training process.
Who's going to score in the autumn for ÖFK?
Well, a lot of different players, I hope. We've had goals from all over, to be fair. You know, we've had goals from Isaac Sewankambo, Isherwood, Noah's popped up with a goal, Dino. Yeah, so we have lots of different areas. Charlie scored a goal. So
you're not worried?
No, but we've had a lot of offensive players. Jamie, Sellers, Aish, Kroon, all injured. And that is, of course, when you get 4 really good players from the front line injured, that does impact on then the goal scoring that you have. Then you put a lot of reliance. But Dino's been fantastic in this first part of the season, really fantastic. And I think we can get goals from different areas. And you know, you see Sellers and Hopcut and Kroon is on their way back to fitness. Hopefully they're coming back through the summer. And then we get a lot more offensive goal threats as well, and maybe we find 1 or 2 in the window as well that we can bring in to help us with that.
how many players will we add to the squad?
Hard to say. I think it does depend a little bit on how many we lose, because you never know when the transfer window opens who's in demand and who's not. So probably we could lose 1 or 2 or 3. So that affects it a little bit. But certainly we want to bring in, I would say, 3 or 4 players at least to add to the squad, and some maybe with some of the things that we missed, like experience. Some maybe with I think we've missed 1 against 1 speed into the final third, so maybe we add some of that, and maybe we can get in again we put in also some young talent that we can develop, so try to get a bit of a mix of players that we bring in.
Are Östersund still a club that the players want to come to?
Yeah, I think so, because I think the club does things a little bit different. I think we have a good reputation for the environment that we create. We're very proud of that. I think we're an open club that is thinking different to many others, and we try to be like that. And then I think that people want to be here because of the place and the environment that we create, and it's still a club that people want to be at. And of course, we play in the top league in Sweden, so that's a great opportunity for many players.
It's 18 games left in the Allsvenskan. What are we in the middle?
Yeah, at the moment we are, but we are where we deserve to be. I think sat in the middle, and it's hard to say where we can be at the end. You know, we just focus on the next game. But I've said before, top level is very high. I think it's really, really important that we're always building for the future. And I look at some players that have come in. If I look on the list here, like Erik Hogan is making his first games in Allsvenskan now as a young central defender, has shown really huge potential. We're going to develop him and see where he can go this next season. Charlie Colkett coming in. You know, we've got Revan Armin still developing, Sellers, all these young players that I see, Henrik Bellman taking steps. So we want to be able to bring these players up and up and up, and I think they've got more to give. So now it's about using the platform that we've got to develop them, and then it should look good for the future as well. But short term, next game, long term, young players to develop for the future.
Your time in Östersund, 1 year now, how you enjoyed yourself?
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. It's been a fantastic experience. It's been great to come to a different country, because I've spent obviously many years in England and then a lot of years in Norway, and then to come to Sweden and experience the Allsvenskan and new teams and new challenges. And I think we have a great staff group here and good people around the club, and I've enjoyed being in the town. You know, whenever I go around, people are friendly, and my family's been really, really well welcomed into the town. They enjoy it. You know, the girls learning Swedish in the dagis, and my wife settling in. So for us, it's been a really positive experience, and we've been very satisfied and pleased with our first year here. Now we're a bit disappointed with the last few games, so we're really motivated now to be better in this next part of the season, and I think every player is ready to show what they've got.
Do you read newspapers and looking at social media after a game?
No, I learned quickly as a coach not to read so much of that. I mean, you know, I think when you work in football and you're in the context of the situation that you're in, and there's a lot of things going on around and outside the club as well, that, you know, it's really important that everything that goes around is noise, and that you as a coach is just focused on the things, the players and the things that you can do, and working kind of in your context every day. And I don't use too much time on newspapers, and you know, sometimes it's good and sometimes if it's good I don't read it, if it's bad I don't read it either, because I just focus on my job and especially the people that know in depth what you're doing. And social media can be a great, you know, I'm on different social media outlets, and it's brilliant sometimes to interact with the fans, and sometimes it's very positive and sometimes it's not so positive, but I don't take it too personally. It's more boring when my wife reads it and tells me that nobody likes you, and then but that's, nobody does when you lose a game. So I just have to accept that and then try and be better and try and win games, so then people like you a little bit more.
And if you win, you're a king.
Yeah, but I think, you know, I got told very early when I started coaching that when you're winning games, don't get too high, and when you're losing, just don't be too low. Try and stay in the middle, and then I don't get too excited when we win games. Actually, I enjoy it for a couple of hours, but then I just think about the next game. And if we lose, okay, then you are a bit low, but then you have to pick yourself up quickly and think about the next game and what you can do to be better. So I try to stay in the middle somewhere.
How many hours a week you work?
You're better to ask my wife that question, because she can probably tell you. She's probably working more hours than me with the 3 kids, I think. But it's it's a lot of hours, but it's enjoyable as well, because you do something that you're passionate and you enjoy. And we come in early and we work a lot here, and when you go home you still think about it, and you're on the phone a lot, and you're watching football in the evenings. So it's a constant cycle, but you do something that you're passionate and you care about, and then it isn't. Then I don't think so much like a job. It's more your life. So then it's everything that you do. So all the conversations end up coming around to football, and so then you don't really switch off so much.
But can you relax?
Yeah, you have to be able to. But then I have to leave the phone on one side and play with the kids or do something like that, and then you have the time with the family, and that's really important. I think you need that as well, because then you can be fresh the next day. Because it's like anything, you have to be. To be really good the next day, you've got to also be fresh in your mind and feel good. So you need a few hours to be able to switch off. I think everybody needs that. Otherwise, you burn out quick.
Okay, Ian, thank you very much. And there are 1 week left to the Gothenburg game.
Yeah, 1 week left, and that's now it's a really important week to get focused. And we've tried to use this time. We've had a few players. Charlie, got a knock in the last game, and Tom Pettersson coming back, Thomas Isherwood coming back. So we know we miss Keita and McKeeby with African Cup of Nations. And for us, as much as I want Ali Keita and Ron McKeeby here in part of the squad, it's also very proud as a club to be able to have 2 players going away to a major tournament and representing us out there. So that's really good for us. And shame we miss them, but of course, hopefully I hope they're back soon. They probably hope that they're there right until the final and win it. So, but we hope that we can use this week to get as many available and on the pitch ready for Gothenburg as possible.